Good morning, folks. Good morning. And what a lovely morning it is. It's a cracking morning out there this morning. Well, thanks for having me back again. I want to talk about passion for God this morning, and I want to start by just sharing with you a little story. I don't know whether many of you here are rugby fanatics, but we've just had a really important rugby test last week, and some of you will know all about that. The British and Irish Lions have just been touring our country, and you know, what a great competition it was. And so last week, it was 1-1, the series was drawn 1-1, and so last week's game was the decider. And it was an important game, as any passionate rugby fanatic will tell you. It was an important game to see. So my son Dylan and myself, we usually watch these big games at home. We'll usually hunker down and get the heater going and just get a bag of chips and watch the game. But on this particular night, because it was such an iconic game, we thought, no, we've got to go somewhere. We've got to go and find a crowd of people that are passionate. And we just, you know how you feel like you've got to be a part of an occasion? Well, that's how we felt. We've got to be a part of this occasion. We need to be somewhere other than our living room at home. So we hopped in the car and we headed over and we found a little bar, an undisclosed place over in Tauranga, and it was full of people. It was just jam-packed full of people. And we were right up the front. There was a big screen TV right up the front. We got right up the front and we managed to get a seat. And we looked behind us and there was just a sea of people. And you could tell the moment you walked into that place, you know how you can tell the atmosphere of a place. People were charged up and they were ready for the game. And normally when I watch a game of rugby at home, I'm pretty chilled, I'm pretty reserved, and I'll sit back in my chair at home and I'll, come on boys, come on. That's what I'm like at home. But you know, when you're in a place that's full of passionate people, you change. You become like them, and suddenly you're like this, and every muscle, you go, come on. And that was me on Saturday night. And if you turned up, you would have looked at me and thought, who is that guy over there? And we just got caught up in the moment. Isn't it incredible how passion is contagious? You can walk into a place, and if it's full of passionate people, you begin to take on those traits. People can actually lift you up. Just like when you walk into an environment that's full of negative people, or people that are non-passionate, they can kind of suck you dry. People have that effect on us. And sometimes with passion, it's something that we have to seek out. We have to go looking for it. Sometimes passion just doesn't come and find us. We have to go out and find passion. So what about our faith this morning? I want to talk about our faith, and I want to talk about our walk with the Lord. Is our walk with the Lord something that we get passionate about? And if it isn't, then why? Why isn't it? The good news of the gospel was the greatest message for mankind, wasn't it? The greatest message ever, and surely it's something that we should be passionate about. And yet, let's be honest, we don't always feel passionate. Sometimes life knocks us around, it almost squeezes the passion out of us. And sometimes we just downright don't feel passionate. And so I want to explore those questions this morning. How do we go about discovering that passion for the Lord? How do we rediscover passion? If it's lost, how do we get it back? And if we've got it, how do we maintain it and make sure we don't lose it? There's a scripture I want to base my message on this morning, and it's Mark chapter 12, verse 30, and it's a scripture that we're really, really familiar with. But this morning I've got two versions. I've got the Good News version and the version from the Message. And just because they both come at it from really different angles and just kind of beautifully portray this verse. Mark chapter 12, verse 30 says, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength." That's a Good News version. The Message version says this, "Listen, Israel, the Lord your God is one. So love the Lord God with all your passion and prayer and intelligence and energy. It's an interesting angle, a very interesting version, and I like that. I like that word passion. Because what they're saying is, hey guys, don't be half-hearted about your love for God. Give it everything you've got. Put some muscle into it. Put some oomph into it. It's not just something that we take lightly. Put some enthusiasm into it. Try and generate some spark into your love for the Lord. That's what that verse is telling us. Loving God with all our heart, all our soul, and all our mind requires effort sometimes. It requires effort. In our PC world that we live in, it's considered good to be passionate about something. And we're all encouraged to be passionate about things. People say you should be passionate about life. Be passionate about whatever you're doing. Put your heart and soul into it. We're encouraged to do that. But it's interesting, isn't it, the minute you say you're passionate about God, people look at you like you're some kind of nutter. You're passionate about God? Really, are you? And yet, people won't even blink an eyelid. You could say you're passionate about the weirdest thing, and people won't blink an eyelid. Did you know that there are so many books out there on passion for various things, which tells me people are passionate about a lot of weird and wonderful stuff. Would you like to know some of the books that are out there? There's a book out there called A Passion for Cactus. No, I'm serious, A Passion for Cactus. No, I'm not going to judge you this morning, but how many people are passionate about cactus? Because you'd have to be pretty nutty to be passionate about it. There's a book out there called A Passion for Fashion. Now I can understand that. You know, there's a bit of a ring in there, a passion for fashion. A lot of people are passionate about fashion. But this is what I don't get. There's a book out there called A Passion for Mushrooms. Really? No, I'm serious. There's a book out there you can buy it called A Passion for Mushrooms. Now that is getting nutty. I cannot stand mushrooms. You can buy a book called A Passion for Needlework, A Passion for Potatoes. Well, you're not passionate about potatoes? You can mash them, you can roast them. Scallop potatoes. You can buy a book called A Passion for Steam Trains. Hey, there's some exciting stuff out there on the bookshelves. You can be passionate about a lot of weird and wonderful stuff, and you know what? People won't even blink an eyelid. If you told me you were passionate about cactus, I wouldn't blink an eyelid. I'd think you're weird, but I wouldn't blink an eyelid. The minute you say to people you're passionate about God, they look at you like you're strange. Passionate about God? Are you a fanatic? Romans 12:11 says this. Paul says, never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervour serving the Lord. Now here's the problem with that. I mean, Paul encourages us to be passionate. And I think sometimes we think we have some kind of eternal fire burning within us that never goes out. Something that we don't really have to maintain, it just kind of burns away. But apparently that's not the case. Paul's telling us that our fire, that fire in our belly, has a tendency to dim. And it has a tendency to go out if it's not maintained. And so he's saying to us, guys, there's times you have to stoke it up. You have to look for passion. You have to put yourself in an environment where you're going to feel passion again. Don't just take passion for granted. If you're low on passion, you have to change your environment. You have to position yourself in a place where you're going to feel that passion again. It's called fanning it back into flame. Fanning it back into flame. So this morning I want to talk about 4 things that I've called passion killers. Things that kill our passion, things that cause us to lose that spark, to lose that love for the Lord, and get a little bit half-hearted in our walk for the Lord. They're 4 passion killers. So passion killer number 1, I'll call it the unbalanced life. The unbalanced life. Now the Bible tells us that life is seasonal. Yeah? The Bible tells us in Ecclesiastes that there's a time for everything. So there's a seasonal aspect for life. In other words, there's a way in which things work. There's a rhythm to life that God has put in place. way things work. And just as there's a season in the physical, summer, winter, spring and autumn, not necessarily in those order, but just as there's a seasonal aspect to our physical life, so it is with our spiritual life. There's a way in which things work. There's a way that God has put into place. Your life has an inward dimension to it, and it also has an outward dimension to it. In other words, what I'm saying is that there are certain things that your life needs, that you need to bring into your life that will create passion. That's called the inward dimension to your life. There's certain things that you need to bring in, just the same. There are certain things that you need to put out that will also bring passion to your life. It's an inward, outward element to your life, and there's a real balance there. And sometimes we can get either one or the other really well, but to have that real balance. Let me explain what I mean by that. I wonder whether you've ever met someone that's come up to you and they say to you things like this. They say, there's a book you need to read. I've just read it and it's fantastic. It will change your life. You need to read this book. And so you read it. And then the next time you see this person, there's this other book that I've just read. You need to read. It will change your life. But there's people that are always soaking stuff in. Always going to the next event, the next seminar, telling you about the latest documentary they saw on Shine TV. They're always soaking it in. Now you may say, well, what's the problem with that? Isn't that a good thing? Isn't that a good thing to feed us? But here's where the problem lies. The problem lies when we don't have an outlet valve. It's all coming in, but it's not going anywhere. And that's where the problem lies, and that's where we become unbalanced. When everything's coming in all the time, it's almost like we need more and more stuff to stimulate us. Now, one book's not good enough. I need to read half a dozen. We need more and more stimulation in order to feel passionate when there's no outlet valve. We become what is referred to as overfed Christians. Overfed Christians. I don't know whether you remember a number of years ago, we might be going back 3 or 4 years now, and we had a guy from the Bible Society come and talk to us at church. Now, where were we meeting? You guys might have been here, but I remember he spoke to us at Faith. I'm not sure whether you were at Faith at that stage. But anyway, he came and he talked to us about a little village in China. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'll try and be as accurate as I can, but he told a story about how there was a village in China, and they only had one Bible. The Christian community had one Bible amongst all of them. And so what they did is they divvied the Bible up. They ripped the pages out and they divvied the Bible up. But what I remember most about that story is the guy was telling us about how passionate they were. Even though they only had a few pages of the Bible, they were really passionate and hungry for the Word. So when they did actually all get a copy of the Bible, they were ecstatic. I guess what I'm saying this morning is that we have so much resources at our fingertips, don't we? We live in a really blessed society where we have it all at our fingertips. But the thing that we need to be aware of is that we aren't always learning, always taking in, and we're not giving out. Because that's how passion rolls. It flows through us, it comes through, and it's designed to go out. So that's our input. Let me talk about our output. Output is the doing aspect of our faith. The output is those people that have a danger of just being doers all the time, just always doing. People that lean toward the output element, they're always giving out, they're always helping, they're always serving, they're always working, they're always being generous, but they never take time to recharge the batteries. They never take time to recharge. And so for those of you that lean toward the output of your faith, that's the danger for you, is that this continual giving out, sooner or later the tank runs dry. The tank runs dry and you're running on empty. You come to a place where you begin to resent the very people that you're supposed to be helping, just because it's a condition called compassion fatigue, where you've just been so busy giving out that you've just got nothing left to give. And so you get to a place where you're just ticking boxes. And so when people do come and ask for help, yeah, you help them, but you do it reluctantly. You forget the reason why you're doing it. And as I say, you begin to resent the very people that you are supposed to be helping. So you can see that there's a balance in place. There's input, what we're bringing into our life, and what we're giving out. Both of those elements have an effect on our passion. Point number 2. Just on that, a beautiful story on the input-output was the story of Martha and Mary. Do you remember that story? And remember how Jesus came to visit the two sisters, and Mary was the one that was sitting at Jesus' feet, and she was just taking all the stuff in. She was listening to him. Whereas Martha was busy doing stuff. She was the doer. And so she was busy preparing, and she was putting dinner on, and she was starting to become resentful. Well, why am I doing all this? And Mary's just sitting there taking it in. They were two sisters that had two different elements, an input and an output. And sometimes we need a balance of both. Point number 2, things that rob us of our passion: unused talent. Unused talent will cause you to lose your passion for life and for God. 1 Peter chapter 4:10 tells us this. It says that we've all been blessed with many of God's gifts. But it goes on to say, Paul goes on to say, those gifts are to be used in the service of others. And that's the key point here. The gifts and the abilities that God's given you are to be used in the service of others. That's how it works. And so your gifts and abilities are actually for my benefit, as are mine. My gifts, my abilities, my talents are to be used for your benefit. That's the way it works. And I know it almost sounds like a contradiction, but you are most happy and most passionate when your life is others focused. You know they've done scientific research on that. And you are at your most happiest when your life is others focused. When you're in a servant type role. You're at your best when you're using your talents and your gifts and your abilities to honour God and to use positively in the building of His kingdom. That's when you're at your ultimate best. Now here's a dilemma that I want to put to you this morning. So what would you say to someone, let's say that there's someone that has a job that they despise. It's a job they absolutely hate. And they wake up every morning and they dread going to work. And they get out of bed reluctantly, and every day dawns, they think, oh, here we go, another day at the workplace. Oh, I've got to face that guy again. Oh, and I've got to do that job as well. Oh, I wish I could go back to bed. So what do you say to someone like that absolutely despises their job? It's sucking the passion out of them. They're dreading every day, but here's the thing. They're earning some good money. I mean, they're earning really good money. It's a dilemma, isn't it? What do you tell a person? And I've heard both sides of the story. You know, you'll get those people that say, well, you know, you just need to dig in. You need to persevere. You don't quit on a job. You've just got to do the hard yards. It's called perseverance and endurance. Is that what you say to a person? I've been in an interesting situation. Only once I've had this scenario play out in my life, just once. And I remember being in a job that I absolutely hated. And there was a time in my life when my kids were really little. And so, you know, when your kids are little, it's all about putting food on the table and paying the bills. And that's what your life consists of at that age. You work hard to provide for your family, and that's what you're told to do. And I remember I had this job, and I was working out at Te Puke, and I hated it. I hated just the environment I was with. It was sucking me dry, and I knew it. It was killing my spirit. And every day I was getting up in the morning, and I just had this sense of dread that I have to face this day. And I remember going to work one morning, and it all just came to a head. And I got halfway to work, and I had this overwhelming sensation that I need to turn my car around. I need to turn my car around and head home. And for me, that was a radical thing to do, because I grew up with this. I just grew up being told, you don't quit a job. You just carry on. It doesn't matter how bad it gets. You do the hard yards. And yet I had this overwhelming sensation that if I don't turn this car around, something within me is going to die. And so I pulled it. I can remember where I was. I was just going around the Bell Road corner there, and I pulled my car over, and I had this dilemma. What do I do? What was the time? Okay, I've got 10 minutes to get to work. What am I going to do? And I turned the car around, and I went home. And the story goes on for me. I don't have time to say what happened after that, but other than there was a good outcome. And it's not something that I recommend people do, but you know what? When something's killing your spirit, you need to act on that. You need to act on that. Scripture says this. It says, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world yet loses his soul? And if we sense that our soul is dying, then you've got to do something about that. You've got to take some radical steps. God's priority is your soul and your spirit. He would rather you cross the finish line with a full soul than a full bank account, that's for sure. And so his priority is our soul. You know, there was a survey done in America that 70% of all Americans are stuck in jobs that they hate. Isn't that a high number? And while I was researching that, I came across another interesting little statistic. Is anyone here afraid of flying? That's good, because what I'm about to tell you will freak you out. So there was a study done.
I'm flying on Thursday.
I can just block it just for 2 minutes. So there was a survey done, it was a survey done among co-pilots on long-haul flights. And did you know that 30% of co-pilots have reported waking up after a short nap, looking over and the pilot's been asleep as well? I'll break you I'm sure you'll be fine. But bear that in mind next time you go on a long-haul flight. You know, boredom is a massive passion killer. Boredom is a massive passion killer. And I think the world is full of bored people. Now, boredom isn't lack of activity. Boredom is lack of meaningful activity. It's doing stuff and it's just ticking the boxes. It's meeting other people's expectations, not necessarily God's expectations. It's not doing the things that you know God put you on earth to do. That's what boredom is. And you just see this vacant look looking back at you. It's like the spark is gone. It's like nothing captures their imagination anymore. You meet those people occasionally, don't you? It's almost like the lights are on but nobody's home. In a prison system, when they want to punish a prisoner, they put him into what they call solitary confinement. In other words, they isolate that person from community and any form of meaningful activity or relationship. And a prisoner will tell you that, you know what, even doing something like peeling potatoes brings an element of meaning to their life in the prison system. And so they need to be doing stuff. Doing stuff is a mood enhancer. Doing stuff, peeling potatoes, mopping the floor, it doesn't matter what it is, they need to be doing stuff. And so when they want to punish a prisoner, they put him into solitary confinement. So they remove him from any form of meaningful activity and meaningful relationships. And there are two things that we need to keep the spark burning in our life. We need meaningful activity and we need meaningful relationship. I was thinking of a biblical example of boredom. What could I share about boredom that is biblical? And immediately I thought of David and Bathsheba. The story of David and Bathsheba, because we often read that story and we think that that's the story about a man who's struggling with his inner demons. It's about a man who's looking for a good night out And we kind of often interpret the story that way, and yet I don't think that's entirely accurate. I think the story of David and Bathsheba is the story of a man not doing what he was supposed to be doing. Because if you read the context of that story, David should have been out on the battlefield, because that's where his troops were. And that's where David was at his very best, because he was a leader, and he was an inspirational leader. He was a soldier and a warrior. He was at his best when he was out amongst it on the front line. That's when he was at his ultimate best. But Scripture tells us on this occasion, for whatever reason we don't know, he decided to stay back at the palace. And for a man with a mission, just staying back was not a good idea for David. And so he got bored. That was his first problem. He got bored. He's just hanging back at the palace, wandering back and forth, gazing out the window, and then he gazes his eyes upon Bathsheba. It's a story of a man not doing what he was supposed to be doing. And so we have to ask ourselves that same question: are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Because if you are, it's a passion enhancer. It's a passion enhancer. When you're doing what you know God's called you to do, are you utilising your talents and your gifts and your abilities? Are you utilising them to the glory of the Lord? So that's point number 2. Point number 3, passion killer, an unsupported lifestyle. Now sometimes you lose your passion for God simply because you're not spending time around other people who are passionate for God. Simple as that. Ecclesiastes chapter 4 verse 9 and 10 says this. It says that 2 people are better than one, because when one falls, the other helps them up. And it's interesting because we all fall at some point. I think there's always a moment in our life where we're going to fall, we're going to stumble, we're going to hit hard times, and it's those times where we need the community around us to pull us back up. That's why we have community. It's during those times as people that can pick us up. Blessed is the person who has a good friend that can help you in your time of need. Blessed is the person that has a friend that can encourage you in your time of need, that can give you the right word in season when you need it most. You get that in community. You get that when you're associating with other passionate people. You know, one of the things that we do really well here at Welcome Bay Community, and I do think we do it really well, is that we do have what we call smaller support groups. Whether it be a home group, or a men's group, or a ladies group, we have all these things that are geared for supporting you and supporting each other and encouraging each other. You know, there's only so much you can do on a Sunday morning. There's only so much conversation you can have over lunch. But when you connect to a smaller support group, it enables you to share on a deeper level. It enables you to encourage each other. It enables you to talk a little bit deeper about your struggles. And it enables others to help you up in your time of need, as you do to them in their time of need. There's a reason why we have those groups. It's not just to tick boxes. It's not just to say, hey, look what we run here at Welcome Bay. There's a purpose behind them. And I encourage you to connect. I encourage you to connect to it in some shape or form. I've been a Christian for a few years now, and I've seen a lot of people lose their passion for God, as probably you have as well. I've seen a lot of people where the fire has just for some reason gone out, and for some it's never returned. And you know, usually there's a bit of a pattern with people like that. The first thing that happens is they draw back from their relationship with other believers. It's usually one of the first things they do. And you hear people say all the time, well, you know, I used to go to church all the time, and someone said something to me on Sunday morning, and that's it, I'm done with Christians. You hear people say that kind of thing, as crazy as that sounds. We take offence so easily. And I've heard people say, you know, I've been hurt before, I've been hurt by Christians. Yes, you probably have been, and you will probably continue to be from time to time. But we can't take offence so easily. We can't take offence. We cannot isolate ourselves just because someone has rubbed us the wrong way or said the wrong thing to us. We're not always all going to click. And if there's someone here that you don't click with, a dozen or more other people that you can seek prayer and encouragement and counsel from. And so I don't buy that. I don't buy that reason. We need to stay together. So usually they'll draw back from their relationships, and then their hearts slowly grow colder toward the things of the Lord. And I've heard people say things like this. They say, you know what, I'm just going to go it alone. Just me and the Lord. I don't need anyone else. I'm just going to go it alone. No, it doesn't work like that. The flame eventually dies, and it's usually a slow death. We need each other to keep the fire stoked. That's point number 3. Point number 4 is this. And this is my final point. An unclear purpose. An unclear purpose. When you forget the purpose, of your life, that is a sure way to kill your passion. If there's no purpose, then why bother? Why bother putting effort in when you can't see much purpose in there? Why push forward when there's nothing to push forward to? You know, a lot of people live their life in what we call a maintenance mode, just maintaining the status quo. And we think, well, you know what? This is okay. This is okay. I'm just happy with this. And so we no longer push forward. And that's called living in a maintenance mode. But when there's no purpose to our life, when there's no reason to get out of bed, there's going to be no passion. Life without purpose is activity without direction. And activity without direction, well, that just plain wears us out. We become tired. When we're just busy doing stuff, there's no purpose behind it. It just wears us out. And so we need to know the purpose of the Lord upon our lives, don't we? Now, I'll be the first to admit here this morning, sometimes my life gets lost in the humdrum of just normal chores and stuff. I mean, just things like paying the bills, putting food on the table, cooking dinner, mowing the lawns, just all those kind of things. Sometimes my life just gets consumed in those things. And all I'm worried about is what I'm going to put on the table tonight, and what should I have, chicken for dinner or fish for dinner? You know, sometimes we get consumed with these little things, don't we? And it's so easy to lose the context, the bigger context of why I'm here, and there's a purpose for my life. We forget the very basics of why God put us on this earth in the first place. Last message I spoke about knowing the will of God for our lives, and how important that is, just to know that God is leading us and guiding us, and God has a purpose and a plan. We talked about knowing the will of God. And one of the things that we talked about last time was asking the right questions. And I used the Apostle Paul as an example. When he had his Damascus Road experience, the first thing he did is he asked a really important question. And he said, God, what is it that you want me to do? Do you remember when we talked about that? God, what is it that you want me to do? Because a man that knows God's purposes in his life is unstoppable. A man or a woman, if you know that there's purpose in your life, if you know that the hand of God is upon you, you will be unstoppable in your pursuits for Him. There's a confidence that we derive when we sense God's leading us. Now, you can get confidence in a lot of different ways. I know there's lots of books on how to be a confident person, but true confidence derives itself when we know that the hand of God is upon our life, and there's purpose to what we do. When you have this deep knowing that there is purpose to your life, there's a confidence that comes from that. It's not an arrogance, it's just a deep confidence of, I know why I'm here, and so there's purpose in everything that I do. I was thinking of the disciple Peter, and what a hot and cold character he was. I mean, he was hot one day and cold the next. One day he was walking on water, and seconds later he was sinking into the water. One day he's telling Jesus of his love for him, the next day he's denying him. He was one of those characters that was hot and cold. He didn't know if he was coming or going. He was very unsure of himself, and that all changed. And you read about Peter after the day of Pentecost, and he is unrecognisable. It's hard to believe you're talking about the same character. He's unrecognisable because he's a man that knows there's a purpose to his life. That's the confidence that we derive when we know that the hand of God is upon us. And the same was true of Paul. Paul in the book of Acts, we read about him, after his Damascus Road experience, unrecognisable. Even his name changed. It's hard to believe it's the same character. Again, a testament to the power of purpose. When we know that the purposes of God are upon our life, we derive a confidence from that. And it's a quiet, steady confidence. Once they glimpsed God's purposes in their lives, they were filled with passion and purpose. And those two things they're linked. Passion and purpose go together. When you have purpose, you have passion. They're linked together. So passion is waking up in the morning and it's knowing that there's something out there that you love to do. It's knowing that there's something out there that you believe in, that God made for you, something bigger than yourself. So those are the four things that we'll call this morning passion killers. Okay, an unbalanced life, unused talent, unsupported lifestyle, and an unclear purpose. I believe God wants us to be a passionate people. And I don't know what your idea of a passionate person is. Maybe you think that's an extroverted, bounce off the ceilings type of person. I don't believe that's the case at all. I think a passionate person can be a quiet, unassuming person, but you have a fire burning in your belly and a love for the Lord. And you can tell that when you talk to people. You can talk to the most quiet, unassuming person and you can see a fire in their eyes. And I think it's an attractive quality. I think that passionate people draw people in. And you don't even know it. Maybe you're one of those people. Maybe you are one of those people that people just seem to be drawn in by you. And I was talking to my son the other day, and bless his heart, my youngest son, Nicholas, he's of my two boys, he's the most passionate about life. And, he's so, he's always got people hanging off him. He's just a really popular, well-liked kid. And it's because people see this life in his eyes. And I love that about my son. But we can be the same. God wants us to be a passionate people and to stoke the fire. And just like my story this morning about my son and I when we went and watched the rugby, sometimes you need to go and find passion. If you're not feeling it, go find it. Make some changes, reposition your life, put yourself in an environment where you're going to feel passion again. Bring people into your life. That you're going to catch that passion as well. So be encouraged this morning. I just encourage you this morning, if you're running low on passion, if the tank's slightly empty, this is a great environment to seek someone out for some prayer, and I encourage you to do that. I encourage you, if your tank is empty, we gave the same invitation at the first service. If your tank is empty, then what better place than on a Sunday morning to gather a few people and say, look, I need some prayer, I need some encouraging words, will you pray for me? So on that note, let's pray. Lord, we have so much to be thankful for, so much to be passionate about, and yet, Lord, we know that often we don't feel it. Lord, often life can knock us around a little bit. We wake up on a grey, gloomy winter's day and somehow that passion isn't there. Lord, it's easy to wake up on a beautiful fine morning like today and feel a little bit better about life. But Lord, I want to pray for people here this morning that are just feeling as though they're running on fumes. They feel like the passion's running low, Lord, and they need a fresh touch from you. I pray, Lord, that you encourage them this morning. I pray, Lord, that you refuel the tank this morning. Remind us, Lord, that sometimes we need to fan it back into flame. We need to fan it back into flame. And I pray that you help us to do that, Lord. Show us little keys that we need to put into place, Lord, that will cause us to be passionate people. I pray, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.